Well, a very good morning and welcome to Lillehammer in Norway, of course, the home of the 1994 Winter Olympic Games. We've joined the action just a little bit late, but we haven't missed too much. Just two heats of the women's completed, and this is what they call the third quarter-final, though we have 5 races in the first round, as I'm sure our regular viewers know. Mike Dixon, Patrick Winston with you throughout the cross-country season. I was quite impressed with Ruka, Mike. I thought we had some excellent racing, particularly the sprints.
The sprints were fantastic. Today, the women's course, though, a little shorter than the men's. It's 1.3 for the women, 1.5 for the men today. But equally, this track allows a lot of passing opportunities. It allows the athletes with greater limb speed on the final climb to get access into the stadium on the best line.
Now, I'm sure you've picked out a few of the athletes in this heat. Stina Nielsen, it is, the Olympic champion, who leads the way. Her big rival, Sadie Bjornsson, who had a very good season last year. She finished 6th in the overall World Cup standings for the United States. Bjornsson's wearing 6. Nielsen, of course, out front with 3. Nielsen, slightly disappointed with her performance in Ruka, took a fall in the last 100 metres of the final when it looked as though she was going to start the season with a win. Now she starts to turn the pressure on. This is the big climb in Lillehammer, and if you want to take advantage, you've got to be 5 or 6 metres clear. Otherwise, the rest of the field will just get towed along in the slipstream on the way down to the finishing straight. Has Nielsen done enough to get away?
It's a brave move, Patrick. She went early. She wanted that 8-10 metre gap so that the athlete behind doesn't draft, and I think she's won that little opportunity there. Oh, 21.
A fall, yeah, that's Anna Divik of Sweden. She's gone down, finished 10th in the first sprint of the season. Bjornsson gained a little, but not quite enough. This should be an easy win for Nielsen. She's going to secure victory. 2:55, the quickest time so far. And in terms of lucky losers, 2:55.8, they're going to be just inside that. Nielsen, Bjornsson, both under 2:55.5. Weng of Norway, that is not Heidi Weng. Heidi Weng's been knocked out. it's Lotte Udnes Weng who has to wait and see. I don't think she's quite done it. Very close to lucky loser time, but she's not quite there.
Yes, Lotte Udnes, she's 1.4 behind Nielsen's time, and I think that's just going to put her outside. The previous 2 heats, Patrick, 2:56.53 for Charlotte Kalla, setting the fastest time. Then heat 2, 2:55.49. This time it's 2:55.18, so the fastest heat so far.
Nielsen leading from the front. It's how she likes to do it. She's a big, tall athlete, needs a bit of space, particularly in the freestyle sprints, Mike. So maybe that was the way to go. But as we've seen over the years, the key to winning a sprint is doing as little as possible on the way to the final. Divik. 2 quarterfinals still to go. Ragnhild Haga is going to be the favourite in the next one as we have a look at confirmation of the times. Only 2 qualifiers going through. Nielsen, Bjornsson are through. In lucky loser positions at the moment, Mike?
Well, lucky losers at the moment, I think Ringwald for Germany. There's not many Germans having made it in the women's field through into the final.
And Jessie Diggins, I think, Mike, she's under 256, so it could be Jessie Diggins as well. So let's focus on the lineup for this quarter-final. Ragnhild Haga is going to be wearing 2, the second fastest qualifier. Nearest the camera is Kari Øya Slind of Norway, and 20th in qualifying, 3:01 her time, so she's going to have to step it up. 14, that's Lorien van der Graaf, had a brilliant win last season, and it would be nice to see her on that sort of form again today. Haga, no points in the sprint in Ruka. Finished 10th in the 10K. 13 is Evelina Setlin. Not a bad draw for Haga. She qualified 2nd. The next best is Setlin, who finished 13th. And 18th in qualifying, Natalia Matvieva of Russia. The Russians on a high, having taken 3 out of the 4 wins in Ruka in the opening weekend of the season.
Well, that has to be a season beginner, a massive confidence boost for the Russians. I'll get there in the end. And Matvieva, well, it's been a long time. It's 11 years ago since she had her first win in sprint racing.
What was that about? Well, it wasn't a full start because no one started. I think that's just a technical issue.
I didn't see. Did the starter call them forward? They need to be called forward. One would assume for them all to move forward. He did.
Yeah, it's a bit of an alarming signal. Sort of hear it on the warships when the enemy are approaching, but it certainly got everyone's attention.
Makes them nervous.
But we're underway. Second time of asking. Lorian van der Graaf with a good start, wearing 14. 18. That's Matvieva of Russia. Very quick from her. The Russians in red this season. The Italians in green, as I'm sure you know. The Swedish haven't changed their suits for a decade and a half. In terms of colours, I mean, and at the back of the field at the moment, the Norwegians with Slind and Haga playing a canny game. What would you do, Mike? Just sit in the pack, let the opponents take the wind, and then put a burst in on that final climb?
Well, I think you have to be, if you want to get into the top two, which you want to be to get through to the semi-final, then you need to try and remain in the top three at all times. I think leading it is a dangerous strategy. Matvieva looking technically brilliant though out front. I think it just sets you up to be passed on this track at some stage. So I think top three is a safe place.
Yeah, there's no real wind to worry about. We had a lot of wind up in Ruka. It may change. There is a breeze. If you look at the top of the trees on the top of the hill, you can see some movement. But the track's fairly well protected. Under the bridge in 1:15. Remember that for the last heat, where we'll be looking to see if they can get any lucky losers.
This is the big descent coming up, Patrick, and I think the left-hander at the bottom, legs are completely shattered at the moment. 1:28 of work. Now you've got a 25-second recovery at best. So the legs are still feeling this easy technical bit. Now it's a nippy little left-hander here. This is where Matvieva may well be passed. No, she holds on to the lead.
A little bit of a gap back to positions 4 and 5, but as I say it, van der Graaf starts to close the gap. It's Russia and Sweden in the top 3 positions at the moment. No mistakes from Matvieva so far as they start the last of the climbs, looking for a time under 2:55 to be sure of getting more than 2 qualifiers through. Matvieva keeps the pressure on. Good skiing from Setlin on the left-hand side of your screen, wearing 13, and doing really well is Ida Ingmarsdottir, who only just scraped through qualification.
Biggest surprise here, Patrick. Haga there in 4th position. She had the fastest time in this group by 3 seconds in the qualifying, but she's really not at the races here.
Has she overcooked it? Haga is still in 4th, Mike. Don't put it past her.
Come back. She may well come back.
She's running out of time though. 250 meters to go. They've got a sharp left-hander as they come into the finishing straight. Carrying speed through onto that final straight is so important. Haga goes for the outside. Matvieva on the inside is slowest, and it's Haga who's got the best turn of speed. She's gone from 4th to 3rd, trying to edge her way up into 2nd. Tightest heat we've had so far. Sweden looking good. Is that Ingmarsdottir? We'll see in a second. Matvieva, I think, just gets it. Ingmarsdottir with a photo, and Haga gets 3rd. Oh, it was very, very tight.
Well, do you know what? So far, look at that time, 2:54.6. That is the fastest time. And I think Haga, certainly at 0.25 behind, has a chance of going through into the semi-final. Well done to Matvieva. She led from the gun. She almost led to the line.
But what about Ingmarsdottir? 29th in qualifying, a time of 3:02. She's just gone and done a 2:54, or was she 2:53? We're waiting to get confirmation of the time because the photo has yet to be decided. It's irrelevant, really. They're both going through. I guess it will determine who gets which lane in the final. But that's a brilliant upturn for Ingmarsdottir.
It is, and Haga on the far side, she may well be lucky in the fact that this was a fast heat because she finished in 3rd place, but it left it very, very late. She couldn't stay with that early fast pace.
Yeah, she can't afford those tactics should she go through the quarters. At the moment, she is there with that time of 2:54.32, so the fastest heat by over a second, and there is one more to go, and it contains the fastest qualifier, Hannah Falk, who was did the 2:56.43 in qualifying. No Scardoni this time round for Italy, but Greta Laurent has qualified wearing the green, number 16, 24. That's Moa Lundgren of Sweden, who was 8th in the first Sprint World Cup of the season. A big yawn from her. Always looks as though they got up too early, but actually that's a natural reaction to racing, and it's not a bad thing because it stretches the lungs and gets you ready for an all-out effort.
And it's adrenaline as well, which creates that, as you say, the lungs and adrenaline working together.
Sebasek, 15 for Slovenia, 8 Norwegians, 8 Swedes, 3 Russians, 1 Finn, 3 Americans making it through to the knockout phases. Italy, Switzerland, Slovenia, Germany also having representation. There is Nadine Feindrich. Van der Graaf, not quite as sharp as we saw in the midway through last season in terms of her sprinting. And Anna Svensson, last to qualify. I think she'll be happy to have got through to the knockout phases, and this is just good experience for her. She's wearing bib 30, did make top 17 in Ruka last weekend. Hannah Falk, the favourite, wearing 1 in the Swedish colours, second from the far side.
It's very rare, Patrick, that the athlete who has the very first choice of which group she can choose, all 5 groups, she's gone for the 5th. It does not allow her the same recovery as, say, Usberg or Kala, who opted for group number 1, but she is 3.5 seconds faster in the trial out, in the run out earlier than the rest of the field.
Do you think it's got something to do with the fact that in Ruka, she got knocked out in the first round and she just wanted to make sure she got through to the semi-finals? It's the sort of tactic that actually the British team with Andrew Young and Andrew Musgrave have used in the past.
They very much have, so maybe that is the strategy here, but it's a 3-day event, so you really want to try and win. The fastest athlete today, or the winner of the sprint, will pick up effectively a bonus 30 seconds, and they are very precious seconds, so don't know what the strategy is, but she's looking good right now.
Well, Falk, wearing 1, is in cruise mode on the inside line. 24, that's Moa Lundgren. She knows she's got to push hard. We're looking for a time of 1:15 under the bridge. I suspect they need to be going under it in 1:13 if they've got a chance. Keep an eye on the clock. 13, 14, 15.
And bib number 1, Hannah Falk, but she's just trying to keep as economical, as easy moving as possible. So maybe she's just thinking, well, I'll take it easy, another run out, and just cruise to the line in the first 2 places in this heat.
Unofficially, 3.5 seconds slower than the last heat at this stage. I think we can safely say 2 qualifiers only from this final run.
It seems that way, yes. You can see it's a little pedestrian. This is the fast left-hander. You're picking up, coming into this bend at 45, 50 kilometers an hour. Still Lindgren at the front there.
And Hannah Falk yet to make her move. She may have left it till the final climb. We saw Haga taking it very steady in the last run. Lundgren is making a real bid for glory here. Bought herself 3 or 4 meters at the bottom of the big hill, and she's still hanging on to at least half of that. She's on the inside line for the next turn, but now Falk starts to turn on the pressure, trying to go round the outside. Sweden 1 and 2, Italy in 3, and it's Greta Laurent who's just on the cusp of being knocked out. She has to gain 1 position. No one is clear, and they'll bunch up again as they approach that final left-hand turn in around 100 meters time.
I'm quite sure that they will have been informed that this heat is very slow, so only 2 will go through by right.
And still looks as though it's going to be 2 of the Swedes. Falk should be strong enough in the closing stages to hold off the opposition. Trying to go round on the outside is Sebasek of Slovenia, but it's Falk who still has the lead. It's not quite as impressive as we thought we'd see from the fastest qualifier, and a very, very casual finish from Moa Lundgren, but it's enough. She nearly got caught by Laurent on the line, and that would have been just as bad as the performance we saw from Klæbo in Ruka last weekend.
Yes, to back off just wide in the last 8 meters. Well, that was interesting for me, Patrick. Falk, there's her strategy, but she's only 2 seconds slower, so she hasn't bought herself much recovery time. She still had to work very hard in the last 600 meters. and the lactic will be bubbling in her body now, so less recovery time.
Yeah, so that was probably the reason. Give yourself as easy a run in the first round as possible, but all statisticians who've studied this sport know that the winner of the sprint event very, very seldom comes from heat number 5.
Very rare. It happens. I know Peter Northug has done it once, I think, in his career, but it's unusual. You want to get the recoveries in.
Recovery is vital. So Falk and Lundgren, 2:57, slowest of the heats, which is exactly what Hannah Falk wanted. So maybe she's got it right. We won't comment until we see how she gets on in the semi-final, but she will be in semi-final too. So the crucial gap is the gap between the semi-final and the final.
Yes, so she has a similar amount of recovery time.
Welcome back to Lillehammer. The women's heat's completed. We now move on to the men's quarter-finals, and Pellegrino goes in this first. He's over on the far side in the green, and he's got some Norwegians for company. Now, Mike, this is ludicrous. From the 30 qualifiers, we've got 12 Norwegians. The next highest number is 3 Russians, 3 Swedes. We've got 3 Finns, couple of Italians, the French, Canadians, USA, Japan, Austria, Poland, all with 1 apiece. But total domination from the host nation.
Very much so, and the field, of course, it's a 3-day event, so 102 athletes started out today, and they were allowed to enter 15, of course, the Norwegians, but to get 12 through is exceptional.
Not often you see Freddie Pellegrino getting tied up in a sprint event. Here you go, he's on the outside. What happens here?
His ski went over, or under, actually, underneath.
No, I think it was over.
If
it was under, he would have stopped dead. So I think it must have gone over Melnichenko's ski, and he's found himself back in 5th place.
But look what's happening now. Pellegrino having to go wide, no chance of passing at the moment. Luckily, he's got the tempo from the gods, so he can maybe pull this back.
Yeah, he's trying to relax, but that won't have helped his cause, especially with Finn Hagen Krogh in the lead for Norway. He won't ease up too much.
Kruger's in there as well, the Olympic silver medalist over 15, the skiathlon, Olympic skiathlon champion. He's not really a sprinter, so he's worked on that this summer. Good to see him in the top 30.
I'm actually a fan, Mike, of the men and women racing over a different course because it's all about the total time you're out there. If the men and women race the same course, the women are out there for some 30-35 seconds longer. That is a different race entirely. If they race over a 3-minute course, then they're pretty much on level par with the men. And that's, for me, that's the way it should work.
I think so, yes. Why add 25 seconds? The difference is about 25-30 seconds over 1.5.
The men going over 1.6, and we're expecting times under 3:10. Certainly come the semi-finals. The final is often one of the slowest runs of the day.
Who would have believed that the Olympic 50-kilometre champion is leading this first heat? Ivo Niskanen, he's making it look like hard work out there, taking all the hard work at the front.
Well, he qualified in 28th. Kruger, the Olympic pursuit champion. Not often you get 2 Olympic champions, and Pellegrino, who's got a world title in the sprint, is in here as well. So it's a high-quality field, and it's just starting to warm up. Finn Hagen Krogh it is, who led early on, and he's leading up the final climb. Pellegrino moving up onto his shoulder. A little bit of a gap opening up between 2 and 3, and Niskanen struggling to stay with the pace.
Niskanen, that early pace, he's lost his hat now. Niskanen, it was looking delicately balanced, but is gone now. And that's a good turn of pace from Finn Hagen at the front.
So the top 2 qualifiers in 1 and 2, and there is a significant margin between 2 and 3. They should be safe. The slipstream not so effective at that distance for Niskanen. Round the final corner, Krogh has a very good look over his shoulder, but he's got to be careful. We've seen too many people caught out already this season. Pellegrino doesn't ease up. He's not going to take any risks, and if Krogh gets away with it, he will have done himself some favours. Just gets the timing right, but less lactate in the legs and arms of Krogh than Pellegrino right now.
Quite possibly. It was great to see Pellegrino's tempo, and I think this course lends itself to the tempo athletes like Pellegrino. Of course, Klæbo coming up next heat, they really can turn the pace on.
Yeah, Pellegrino likes this venue, no doubt about it. Just trying to think if it suits Johannes Huslert Klæbo, who won here last year.
I think it does, especially that final climb.
Well, that little incident for Pellegrino won't have done him any favours. I know he went and won the heat, but he had to work quite hard, and that's the one thing you don't really want to do in the first round.
Very much. And I wonder if Niskanen or his coach tonight certainly will sit down and say, was it the right thing to do to try and lead this? He finished last.
3:13.81, the winning time. The fastest time in qualifying, 3:07. So, this second heat is extraordinary. We have the top 5 finishers in the World Cup last year, all in this second heat. Never seen that before. Klæbo, of course, was the overall champion last year. Alexander Bolshinov. Klæbo, can he make up for last week? And I can't quite believe that Bolshinov, who chose after Klæbo, has got in the same group. So Iversen, who's lying second in the World Cup standings after his 4th and a 2nd in Ruka. Next door to them is Sweden's Kalle Halvarsson, who he thought he could have won the time trial on Sunday. He said he wanted to start slow, but he started slower than he thought he was going to, and that cost him the race. Bransdal wearing 10. Good qualifying for him, got on the podium in the last sprint, and Surrota was the last to qualify, number 30, 3:18 in the qualifying run, some 11 seconds slower than Klæbo. Has he got a chance?
I just looked at him there, and I didn't mean to have a little snigger, but you could see it in his face. He's thinking, oh my word, this is like the final. We'll have to wait and see.
Second heat, Pellegrino and Krug are already through. Watch the time as they go under the bridge. That will be a useful marker for later on in the competition. And no mistake from Klæbo. He's got Bolshinov on his right. Now, Mike, you thought Bolshinov went for this heat just to get a psychological advantage over Klæbo again.
Do you know, I did, because if you've got the 5th choice of groups, you can still take any group. You've got space anywhere, but he knew that Klæbo went for this one. He knew that Iversen went for this one, and they're on real good form at the moment, so he's fearless.
Iversen alongside Bolshinov at the moment. Bolshinov, remember, with 2 wins from 2 this season. It took him a long time to get his first win last year, but my goodness, has he had a good summer. He looks stronger, he looks lighter, he looks sharper.
Very much. He's worked, and he is, I think he's lighter. He had a lot of muscle bulk last year. He's trimmed down, and he's the real... He was good last year, let's face it. He was great last year, but even better this year.
Klæbo 2 seconds quicker than anyone in qualifying, Mike. What does that tell us?
I mean, it does tell us about what he can turn on later, and he's just been watching his rival Bolshinov ahead of him, and just ready to unleash. I think just like hunting, watching his prey, and I think we're going to see Klæbo take this one.
4 Norwegians in this second heat, and 3 of them are in the top 4 at the moment, but it's Russia who lead with Bolshinov. Iversen keeping a careful eye on the Russian. Klæbo just on the near side now. He's switched positions. Kalle Halvarsson of Sweden was in 6th. He now realizes the situation is dire. 1:41 under the bridge.
They just need to be careful. This is with these big names and the fast athletes all in this group. There could be some, when it starts really going electric, there could be some tangling of athletes.
Are we going to see 4 qualifiers from this heat, Mike? It's highly likely. They're quicker than the first heat by some 2.5 seconds.
Now watch Klæbo. He'll get the inside line on the left side, far side as we were looking at it, or not. Is he going to lead it from here?
Yeah, he's got the lead at the moment. Bolshinov realizes it's not about winning, it is about just qualifying. Iversen is going hard on the far side. Little bit of a gap. Now Halvarsson starts to make a move on the far side for Sweden, and he impedes Bolshinov, to be honest. Bolshinov looking tired compared to last week, but he's got a fabulous double pole if he can stay with the pace into the home straight.
He's still there, he's still alive, but he's run out a lot of energy, Bolshinov. Was it the wise move? I don't think so. Clearly not. Right now that he went Group 2.
Yeah, he's not going to recover. I'm just wondering whether he's on a slightly slower pair of skis, Mike, because look at the gap that's been opened up over the last 150 metres. Iversen, Klæbo going for the victory here. Klæbo, the man with the hat on. Iversen is hatless. Halvorsen coming strong now, and Klæbo's in danger of going out as well. He needs to up the pace. It's a very tight finish. He's squeezed in between. Iversen with the lead, and then a lunge from Bransdal puts him into top spot. Klæbo gets second. Iversen, well, a two-way photo there. Halvorsen keeps Sweden's hopes alive with a 3:08.7. That is 5 seconds quicker than the previous heat. They are not going to be too fresh when it comes to the semi-final.
Well, what about Klæbo? He had the run in, he had the best option for lanes coming into this, but top 2. Has he made a mistake? 2 weeks of racing, I thought maybe he's had a fundamental error again. He's just not quite what he was last year. Of course, he won 7 of the last 11 World Cup sprints, but the last 2 weeks he's looked a little bit shaky.
Yeah, his form at the beginning of last season was unreal. It was, you know, what did he have? 6 wins in succession, and every time we thought he was beaten, he proved us wrong. Perhaps his best race was here in the 30-kilometre, where he pipped Sundby on the line. 3 Norwegians in the top 4. They could all go through to the next round. They're the lucky losers at the moment. 3:08.44. That's 2 seconds quicker than the fastest qualifying run.
Well, that was an exciting Heat 2. What about Heat 3?
Yeah, Bolshinov is out though, Mike. Could lose the yellow bib.
I think you're right about his skis, because even though it was mostly climbing where he led, it makes it such hard work when your skis are not quite as sharp as those behind you. It zaps the energy.
So Heat 3, score of Norway, wearing 6, 11th in the World Cup standings last year in the sprint events. Simeon Hamilton, the only American to make it through to the knockout phases. Oscar Svensson of Sweden, very good junior indeed. And then nice to see Hiroyuki Miyazawa, who looked impressive. He looked on pretty good form up in Ruka. But the Japanese need strength in depth if they're ever going to be serious contenders. Gustav Eriksson of Sweden. So we have 2 Swedes, 1 American, 1 Russian, 1 Norwegian, and 1 Japanese athlete in this 3rd quarter-final. What about size, Mike? Some of the Norwegians and Swedes come in at 6'4", 6'5".
Yes, so
Pellegrino, considerably smaller.
He certainly is, and he is Awa as well, just a little shorter there. But I wonder which way this is going to go. I think that these athletes, having seen what's happened in the women's sprints and now the men's in the previous heats, will probably be thinking it's not the wisest move to take the lead early on. But as I say, you do need to try and keep in that top 3 or 4, or it makes it very difficult to come through later. It's a 23-metre rise, Patrick, from now where we start climbing to the high point, but it's over about 275, 300 metres. Still hurts.
Eriksson, the slowest of the qualifiers, setting the pace. Miyazawa just drawing up alongside him. He did a 3:16, so his qualifying time was some 8 seconds slower than the fastest time we saw in the last heat. So that's a big ask to match that. And I think it's highly likely that we're only going to get 2 qualifiers out of this heat. We may already have the lucky losers decided. We didn't really mention the biggest news from Heat 2, Mike. Alexander Bolshinov is out.
That's a big loss for Bolshinov. Yes, he's got the individual tomorrow, but he will not pick up many of these bonus seconds. Of course, he's picked up some, having made the top 30, but you've got an advantage of 30 seconds gain if you win today.
And the fact that this is a 3-event tour, sprint today, for the men, a 15K tomorrow and a 15K mass start or a chasing start on the Sunday. Only 50 points for the win today, so the damage is reduced by half.
Yes, it is indeed. The pace is picked up now, but it's a much slower heat, this one. I make it about 3 seconds slower.
Well, 1:45, so it's a little over 3, closer to 4, in fact. They're going to struggle to pull that back, because the speed on the final climb from the last heat was something else.
Oh, that final 500 metres was lethal. Sydney Hamilton, I feel, in second place now, the American. Love to see him go through, love to see him get on the podium again. He's done it 2 times before. But looking very easy, Hamilton.
Yeah, it's a steady pace at the moment. And good skiing from Sindre Skår of Norway, number 6. Just changes gear as he switches down, and he has to, because he realises that Redvik of Russia has got some better speed coming into the middle phase of this big climb. Round the corner at the top, and the top 4 all in contention. That includes Simeon Hamilton of USA, who's sitting in 4th at the moment. But it's the Russian Gleb Redvik who has the lead, 5th in the last sprint, the first sprint of the season in Ruka. So he'll be hoping to make it through to the final yet again.
Redvik, a huge 6'3", 6'4", I think, as you said, but he put in a tempo there of a lightweight on the final climb there, so really has good limb movement.
3:08.7 for anyone who wants to qualify as a lucky loser. That is not going to happen. Redvik keeps the pace up. The battle between Sweden and Norway, and it looks to me as if Skår had the longer reach. Photo finish between 1st, 2nd and 3rd. Hamilton 4, 3:16. Sadly, he goes out, as does Miyazawa, and Eriksson of Sweden with a 3:20 is out of contention. An early shower for him. But he will continue to compete in the Tour. You just don't get any bonus seconds.
No. Can you believe it? I thought Redvik was so relaxed there and nearly had that fundamental area we saw Klæbo last week backing off too soon.
Well, we'll find out. Skår, Svensson, do you think he was just a toenail ahead? It was very, very tight on the line.
It was close. It was risky business. But this heat was 8 seconds slower than that heat 2. Klæbo, Ividsson, Bolshinov not going through.
Any equipment changes that you've noticed this year? The boots, to me, look lighter and stronger and stiffer than ever before.
Well, that's right. Carbon fibre playing a big part. Take away grams anywhere on your body or your equipment. It certainly helps.
So Redvik does get the win in 3:15.56. Heat 4. And just to confirm, if you missed that, Skår went through, and Redvik, the 2 fastest qualifiers going through from that last heat. Hakala in heat number 4 for Finland. 3 Finns making it through to the knockout phases. 12 Norwegians, as I said earlier on. And one of them is Didrik Tunseth. Didn't make it to the World Cup points in the last sprint. 15, Starega for Poland. Joni Mäki for Finland, wearing 19, and Njingit for Norway, wearing 20. So Tefra, new name for the Norwegians, wearing 8. Hakala of Finland, Tunseth of Norway, 14. 15 Starega, 19 is Mäki, and Njingit, number 20, on the right-hand side of your screen. The advantage is over on the far side at the start, because the first turn is to the right.
It is Tefra there in 3rd place. 2 Norwegians, as you said, Njingit in there as well. Now, just looking at early pace, it's not quite as fast as the incredible Heat 2, but it's pacing with Group 1 and faster than our previous Group 3.
Goran Tefra, classic Norwegian build, shoulders almost as wide as a London bus, and he's not far off the height of a London bus. He's a big, big man, beautifully balanced on the ski.
I'm just wondering, Patrick, is this lack of experience? As you see, he's in his club colours, not national colours. He had a great run out to finish 8th. It's his 3rd World Cup ever, and he's leading it. I would say there's a little inexperience there, because he's setting himself up to be hunted down.
But it's a fairly evenly matched group. Tefra was some way ahead, a second faster than anyone in qualifying. He's got every chance, Mike. He's in the perfect group to get through to his first semi-final. But as you say, maybe it would have been wiser to sit in and just feed off the other athletes in the first half.
But you know what, character there. He a club skier, has made it now into the World Cup top 30, and he's fearless. He's taking the lead out front and looking very good, I have to say.
1:25 under the first bridge. We're looking for a time of around 1:41 as they go under the second bridge. I cannot believe they're going to match that. It really was a very quick. Well, actually, I take it back, 1:40, so a fraction quicker than heat number 2. But now they've got to produce the best finish of the season to match that second heat over the closing 500 meters.
Well, Göran Tefra, this might be his moment to say to the selectors, listen, take me to the next World Cup. Take me over to Beide-Stolen next weekend. He's got a good lead there. If he can just have a little look back and, oh, stumble there at the front. If he looks back, he realizes there's a 10-meter back to third place.
Now you need a change of pace, and if Tefra stays in the middle of the course, the others are going to have to go around him. And just nipping to his left is Aristamati Hakala, who's looking for space. That means he's on the outside of the next turn if Tefra can hold his position at the moment. And these two starting to pull away from the rest of the field. Good effort coming in from Nyingit, number 20, gets himself up into third position. But it's Hakala who leads over the rise, and now they descend towards the stadium.
Do you know what? That's worked so well for Tefra. He was hanging in there to try and hold on to that second place, but second place is good down this hill. He's slipstreaming. He'll get a little slingshot at the bottom here. There he goes.
That's exactly what you need, but he's had to go on the outside. Now, can he carry the speed? He's got the momentum. Must weigh in at some 95 kilos. Still Hakala leading, and coming fast on the outside is Joni Mäki of Finland. Mäki could get this one. Hakala starting to fade. Tefra's in trouble, and the time 3:10.6. No lucky losers. Tefra is out, but he gave it a fantastic effort. Finland 1 and 2.
Well done, Finland. On the back of the World Cup last weekend, a rebound of form a week later.
Niskanen didn't make it through from heat 1, but Hakala and Mäki have done so.
Mäki was good as a junior, twice top 10 in the under-23 sprint world champs, a 7th and a 9th, I think it was.
Now, would Tefra have qualified had he used different tactics and not taken the lead? It is possible. It is possible, but he was in the perfect position coming down the final hill and into the home straight, but just didn't have the strength left for the last 150 metres. Yeah, he didn't carry the speed round that final corner, Mike, which I guess at 6'5" is always a little tricky.
It doesn't help. There's a lot of wind to catch you, a big figure. But he ran out of steam. His legs were just completely spent in the last 100. Didn't have any spark left.
One quarter-final still to go. And then there'll be just a couple of minutes before we get the women's semi-finals underway. Women's sprinting nowadays is fantastic. Just a little disappointing that Falla has pulled out of this competition. Caldwell didn't qualify, Jakobsen didn't qualify, so one or two big names missing. So, Francesco De Fabiani, the slowest qualifier. Lucky number 13 for Sundby. He's won this mini tour on 3 occasions. No one else has managed that. And Sundby, does he start as favourite for the overall tour come Sunday, or do you think Klæbo might pip him again?
I think Klæbo's going to be trying to put right what he feels went wrong last weekend.
But his form is not the same as it was last year. Alex Harvey is through to the knockout phases. Qualified in 17th position, 3:15.22. He's got to take some 8 seconds off that if he wants to be sure of going through to the next round. De Fabiani. We've seen Pellegrino go through from heat number 1. We could do with 2 Italians in the next phase. 6 in each of the semi-finals. So we're looking to sort out the last couple of places in that lineup. Away they go. Last of the quarterfinals, Chanava of France, Sundby of Norway wearing 13, 16 is Thorn of Sweden. Canada have Alex Harvey in the red, or the blue and red at the back of the field at the moment. Austria have Dominic Baldorf, who's wearing 21, and Italy with De Fabiani in green.
Well, what's Sundby going to do? This is good news for Sundby, actually, Patrick. Last year, he only made a top 30, the qualifying 1 time, and that was in Ruka last year. Didn't even make it into the top 30 in any of the remaining sprints last season.
And I know Sundby's been working on his speed. How many races has he lost because he hasn't had the speed over the last 400 metres.
So many.
Countless.
Endless, absolutely. And I know he went away and tried to work on a sprint, and he did this summer as well. So far, the evidence is that he has become a better sprinter.
We'll find out on the last climb, certainly.
But look at this. This is like an Olympic final where you can play tactical. The pace is just like easy training pace right now. I think it plays into the hands of the clever Alex Harvey at the back.
He'll be enjoying this. Sitting back in 6th, though, Mike, you get a much bigger concertina effect than you do if you're sitting in 3rd place. Yes, he's got the freedom of the tracks, he can go where he likes, but, you know, he's still got to make up 10 metres on the leaders.
It's a lot of traffic. So many times, though, for a big guy like Alex Harvey, so many times over the last 10, 12 years, he's been able to create a little bit of magic. You think, there's no way he's going to get through, but he always seems to find a way.
We will see if he can do it again. Victor Thorn in the Swedish colours in the middle with De Fabiani on his left-hand side. They're setting the pace. This is slow, slow, slow. 1:47. They're 6 seconds behind the fastest time, 7 seconds behind the fastest time through the bridge at the halfway stage of the race. And another minute or so of racing for these men looking for a place in the semi-finals.
Alex Harvey at the back. I still think he's got a cunning plan in his head that he's going to change 6th place up to the top 2, because that's what he needs. And I think he's going to try and bring that to his game soon.
Sundby sitting back in 5th. The big names are out of it at the moment as they start the final climb. And we've got a full... I thought it was De Fabiani. It is De Fabiani who's gone down, and that has given the rest an opportunity. Chanavar of France leading the way at the moment. Now we see an effort coming in from Alex Harvey, but he may well have left this one too late. Sundby ups the tempo on the far side, goes up into 3rd place. Harvey on the inside is going to get squeezed out. This is going all the way to the line. 5 still in contention. We've had one faller, which was Francesco De Fabiani of Italy.
Alex Harvey still safe. He didn't get the path through that he wanted. He wanted to be in 2nd place. He's in 3rd at the moment.
Thorn of Sweden doing some good free skating, but I think that might be a mistake, because that 2 or 3 metre gap is just going to help the others as they get sucked up behind him. 3 come into the home straight together. Alex Harvey in the middle of your picture, wearing number 17, gets the lead now, going past Chanavar of France. It's going to be Harvey who takes this one. Sundby might well get up into 2nd between him and the Frenchman, and I think Chanavar with a better lunge than Sundby to take 2nd place, but we'll wait for confirmation on that. Thorn, who led coming down that final hill, he was just in the worst position. It's a cruel, cruel sport. And then Baldoff in 5.
Now, which way did this go?
Harvey in 6th position for 85% of the race. His experience paying off massively. Wouldn't it be great if he could win the overall in his final season?
I'd love to see that, his final season, as you say. And Alex, to go from so far at the back with just the final climb. Yes, he was lucky De Fabiani went down. That's one less to pass.
I was just trying to see what went wrong with De Fabiani. I think just a case of getting the weight too far back. Possibly planting the pole on the ski. That doesn't help. Sundby waiting to see whether he's done enough. He was in 3rd. No, Sundby is out. He's missed it by 100th of a second. Here are the confirmed times. So Harvey and Chanavar go through. The star opposite, Chanavar and Sundby, Mike, that's indicating the photo finish. Welcome back to Lillehammer, the mecca for cross-country skiing in Norway, although they have a few of them. It is one of the best areas because they get snow early and they have snow late, and they don't have the shortage of daylight that you have up north. They have pretty mild conditions throughout compared to some of the coastal areas in the north. It is ideal.
It is, and as you say, a bit of a mecca. So many international athletes coming here. The whole Chinese team leading up to the next Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang, in Beijing. They've based themselves here. 45 athletes based here full-time from China.
Well, this is a Scandinavian battle. 4 Swedes, 2 Norwegians. Sweden definitely on top in terms of the World Cup table after Ruka. I think that's a battle that could run all the way through the season. And Charlotte Kalla, I think, really responsible for the upsurge in Swedish performances. She's been going for, what, a decade now. And slowly but surely, the younger skiers have been raising their game. Nielsen's here, Ingmar's daughter's going well, Setlin's going well.
And there's the figures to back that up, just what you're saying. 7 from 12 in the semi-finals are from Sweden.
Yeah, the tables have turned. With they'll be calling back Marit Bjørgen soon.
And we want Marit back. But how can we hold back this flood of Swedes? But at the moment, the Swedes are in the back four positions. That's going to change soon.
So Norway with Ingvild Østberg, who's wearing number 4. A victory for her would be popular. She misses out so many times. She's a fabulous athlete. I thought she started pretty well. In fact, she started too hard in Ruka in the 10K race and faded down into 4th in the end. The other Norwegian is, of course, Skistad, wearing 7, who's led most of the race so far. Now we see an injection of speed on the far side. Stina Nielsen, number 3, wants to be in pole position going over the top of the hill. And the way things are going, that is exactly where she's going to be. Nielsen wearing 3.
Where's Kalla? Kalla, I thought, should be up there towards the front. She's struggling at the moment on our left side.
Yeah, Kalla at the back of the field on the inside line, but she's some 15 metres off the lead of Stina Nielsen. It's not the most elegant style, but she's very, very strong, is Stina Nielsen. Now, she is in a position to be shot at here, but Nielsen has the strongest double pole finish by my reckoning in the women's game when it comes to the last 150 of the sprint.
I have to say, Skistad is doing so well. I thought it would be Østberg who'd be chasing the podium, but at the moment it's the young, inexperienced Skistad still in 2nd place. I don't think she's going to hold on to that 2nd place. Well, maybe she is. She's moving over to her right.
Nielsen stays low a long time, saves
Nielsen
some energy
needs to wake up.
Yeah, she's not aware of Skistad, I don't think, but she's going to get this one. Skistad goes through as a qualifier. That is a really, really good performance from Skistad. And having qualified in 7th, she has kept her standard high. She is through to the final. Brilliant news for her. Østberg is out. Might not be a bad thing in terms of the overall tour. Might one less race today means the legs are a little bit fresher for the 10K tomorrow.
And Charlotte Kalla needed to make a big advantage, because remember, Therese Johaug hasn't made it into the top 30, and I think she's going to be the favourite still for this triple event in Lillehammer. So Østberg is at a disadvantage now. Kalla also a disadvantage, finishing 5th there.
Well, these are going to be good points gained by Nielsen. She, of course, is as interested in the Sprint World Cup standings come the end of the season as anyone. She's been pipped by Faller on a couple of occasions, but Nielsen puts herself in a position to take the full 100 points today. She wins semi-1. Slightly better mix of nations, but we still have 3 Swedes in the 2nd semi-final. They have 1 qualifier for sure. They could get 3 more. Number 1, fastest qualifier, Hannah Falk, who went in heat number 5. She's had a decent rest between the heats and the semi-final. 6 for USA, Sadie Bjørnsen. And Bjørnsen finished 11th in Ruka. Natalia Matvieva looks strong in the quarterfinals. Mike only qualified 18th. Maybe she was holding back a little. And Ragnhild Haga didn't score any points in the sprint in Ruka. She'll score points today, but she'll get good points if she gets through in the top 2. Lucky loser time, 2:55.75.
Now I think Matvieva will probably adopt a similar strategy to last time. She'll try and get out and lead it, but Hannah Falk may decide that she wants the early pace, unlike the heat where she was happy to tuck in 5th and 6th position. So Falk taking this one much more seriously, as you would expect. Haga at the back just took it so easy to this point. Didn't want to get tied up in that early 30 seconds of mad attack.
Now she makes a move. Goes past Switzerland's Feindrich, who's wearing Not Switzerland's finder, my mistake. Matvieva of Russia in the red. And Matvieva skiing a very different race to last time, Mike. Just happy to sit in the pack, whereas she led last time round.
I think the coach has probably had a little word with her and said, oh, try not to take on all the lead, but she's not listening. She's gone straight to the front after a minute. So easy first minute. And now she could maybe take advantage because they're all expecting this to be tactical.
And what about Falk? We were impressed with her qualifying run, a 2:56.43. She just scraped through the quarterfinals, having taken it very, very easy. But she did qualify for the final with the slowest time, which means that she's effectively saved more than anyone else. Falk there wearing bib number 1, just behind Matvieva of Russia.
The way the pace is going, though, Patrick, I think we can safely say right now that we may well get 4 qualifying through to the final from Heat 1 in the semi, and only 2 coming through from this, unless the pace really picks up now. It's going to, obviously, but it really needs to pick up.
They've got 1:05 to complete this run, and they're still some 20 seconds from the top of the big climb. Matvieva of Russia leading. Falk just dropping back a little bit as they come to the crucial turn at the top of this climb. Matvieva has looked strong throughout, having taken it relatively easy over the first minute or so. Bjornsson looking strong as well for the USA. Moves into the lead. Does she? Just about. But she's on the inside line, and Bjornsson goes to the front. I think Matvieva would be quite happy with that.
Definitely. I don't think Bjornsson expected to be taking the lead there. She wanted second place, but it's still looking comfortable for the American.
Falk and Haga, the 2 fastest qualifiers, lying in 3rd and 4th at the moment. They're out of qualifying positions, but they still have 150 metres to make up for that. Bjornsson of America round the final turn. She has a lead of a metre or so. Matvieva now fading as Falk ups the pace, and Haga on the far side looking strong as well. But it's still Bjornsson who hangs on, misses a pole plant, and that could cost her the top spot. Falk on the near side gets the win, and Bjornsson for me in 2nd place. Photo for Ingmar's daughter as well. Matvieva is there, but the time is too slow, 2:58. They needed to be down at 2:55. Only 2 going through, Falk and Bjornsson at the moment.
I'm impressed with Hannah Falk. She knows exactly when to pounce, and she gets it right. So far, so good. Leaves it late, but just enough energy, saving it probably for the final.
Ingmar's daughter, not quite enough space to unleash her power in those final 100 metres. Well, that was an interesting race. It always surprises me when the second semi-final becomes tactical, Mike, and that they don't go for the all-out pace.
It's maybe they thought Stina Nielsen, that's of course Lundgren, Moa Lundgren, just taking it too close to the barriers at the side. This was a tight finish, but of course only 2 from that finish going through to the final.
I was interested with Nielsen's tactic. Round the final corner, she free skated. That means you don't use the arms for the first 50 metres of that last 100, saving the arm power for the last 50. I think that's a really good tactic. Be interesting to see if we see a bit more of that later on.
It took a lot of nerve to do that. When she knew she had 4 other athletes breathing on her, she kept low, kept efficient.
Welcome back to Lillehammer. We're coming through to the crunch stages. The first of the men's semi-finals is about to get underway. We've got 50% of them are Norwegian. Eirik Bransdal, who had a good finish to qualify from his heat. And it's pretty high-powered. Every single one of the 6 in this semi-final finished the qualifying in the top 10. Klæbo obviously was first, the fastest of all. Krog 4th, but Krog looked very, very good in the quarterfinals, composed. And Halvarsen, he's got a quick finish. He's a potential winner of the overall World Cup this year, would you say?
He's looked so good up in Ruka, with that podium on Sunday in the 15-kilometre classic.
So, Redvik on the left of your screen. Pellegrino in green, the only Italian to make it through to the semis. Then 3 Norwegians. We've got Klæbo, Krog and Bransdal. Pellegrino, Clabo, that's a battle that we've seen a lot over the last few years. I think, again, Clabo will try and save himself, but he only just scraped through, Mike. He got boxed out. I wonder whether we'll see more of a burst on the final climb, just so he doesn't leave too much to chance.
It's quite strange. He's still 22-year-old, but of course, look at the rest of the group. They're letting Clabo dictate, and it's not fast. So you could say that the next group maybe could hunt this time down, but Clabo doesn't really want to be there at the front, so he slowed it right down.
That's fine by him. The slower the heat, the better his chances in the final, should he go through.
And look at the man in green, Pellegrino, with that incredible turn of pace. And unlike Clabo, they both ski very similar on the final attack on a steep climb, so they'll be saving their energy for the final rise before the stadium.
Krog is wearing 4. He's in 4. It's Halvarsson of Sweden who leads at the moment, but still the pace is very, very steady. A time of around 1:40 under the bridge would be impressive. I think this is going to be closer to 1:50. Almost certainly we'll only have 2 qualifiers from this heat.
Is Clabo going to pick this thing up? Is he going to try and make an advantage early? He knows that Pellegrino is just going to shade. Pellegrino in green's going to stay behind Clabo. Keep an eye on him. A
little burst from Halvarsson, but that was really just to build up some speed before the downhill section. Not this bridge, the next one. They should reach in 1:40. They're miles off the pace. Now we see a turn of speed from Halvarsson. Applies the power. Klæbo matches in with relative ease as they come under the bridge. 1:48, 8 seconds slower than the fastest heat we saw some 20 minutes ago. Sweden, Norway, Italy, Norway. And then in red at the back of the field, that is Russia's Gleb Retvik. And last of all at the moment, I think it's Erik Bransdal at the back of the group.
I'm just thinking, even Retvik now in 5th place, he still has a chance of coming through. It's all going to go crazy very soon, but they're all still very much together.
Nice corner from Klæbo, and he gains some 3-4 meters on Halvarsson, but he needs to get ahead if he wants a clear run round the top corner. Pellegrino is just trying to track Klæbo all the way through. Now you see an injection of pace, just a change in tempo. He'll dance his way to the top, and interference from Halvarsson, and he has ripped the basket off the pole of Klæbo. It goes from bad to worse for the Norwegian champion, the World Cup champion from last year. That is very, very unlucky.
It is extremely unlucky. He was just, you know, last year we would have seen him a little bit further ahead, getting out of trouble's way. This year it's all going a little wrong for Klæbo.
Well, he's trying to play it tactically. Last year, he just went with it and just showed how good he was. He's trying to conserve something for the final. It's backfired yet again. Will there be a protest? Possibly, but that's one of the... It's just bad luck in this game. Anyway, let's focus on what's going on. We've got Norway 1 and 2. Pellegrino's going to struggle to come through. He's on the near side. Good lunge from Pellegrino, saves his skin, and he will go through with Krog. At 3:18, there is no chance that there'll be that there'll be 4 qualifiers from this heat. Bransdal and Retvik, I think, know that the writing is on the wall. Let's see the body language of Klæbo. Let's see if he goes and has a word with Halvarsson. Here he comes. He's got rid of not one pole, but both of them.
Oh, do you think the other one's in about 10 separate pieces?
Oh, that's
spread out down the track. He's just
does not help his cause in terms of winning the overall tour here, but he finishes the race. That's necessary. Oof. Pellegrino with a wry smile. I don't think you can blame Halvarsson too much. Here's the lunge. Pellegrino did well in the last 10 meters to get back up into 2nd place.
He did so. Yeah, Pellegrino's 2nd. Bransdal just, what, 0.9 of a second behind Pellegrino's time.
Here's
So we're going to see, hopefully we'll see the pole break. Here it is.
Here you go. Yeah. That was Halvarsson's fault. Nothing Klæbo could do about that. I know exactly what he said, and both words started with F.
Well, what a pity. The start of a season, that puts him at a disadvantage now from where it could have been in tomorrow's race.
Oh, well, it's bitterly disappointing because we wanted to see Klæbo in the final, but that's Bolshinov out and Klæbo. Disaster. Still, it gives others a chance. Iversen might be the man who benefits. Hakkala of Finland, 2 Finns in this 2nd semi-final. Hakkala came through from heat number 4. 17 is Alex Harvey. Will he be as cool as he was in the quarters? He sat right at the back for 85% of the race and just moved up in the last couple of 100 meters. Bjornstad, or Sindre Bjornstad, score of Norway, qualified well in 6th. Joni Mäki, 19th fastest in qualifying. He looked better than that in the quarters. Lucas Shanova scraped through. And fastest qualifier in this second semi, Emil Iversen. What's his strength?
Well, he's come into this season, I think, less muscly, so he's lost some weight than he was last year. He's now got sprinting. I used to put him out more as an endurance athlete, but he's got his sprinting up to a very high level this summer. He's a great all-rounder. Patrick, I think they looked at that time from the previous semi and saw it at 3:18. It was a slow semi, and I think we can see 4, but they need to work together. We can see 4 coming through from this group into the final, but they need to work. They need to keep this pace fast. They all know that, and I think their aim will be to keep this pace a lot faster than the previous one.
But then the other thing they've got to be thinking is they've got 5 minutes less to recover before the final. They may well get through to the final, but they're not going to have anything left to give, so it doesn't want to be too fast. They must have looked at the time, 3:18, and thought, well, we can do 3:15 without any trouble at all.
They certainly will have thought that, and I'm just thinking the previous heat, it's almost like the Petter Northug effect. Any time when he was in a sprint semi, everybody would try and let him dictate. Of course, he never was going to, so it would be a tactical heat. And that was a little bit the case with Klæbo. They thought, well, he's going to win it. We'll just do what he does. And it made it a very slow heat.
It worked for Harvey last time. It may well work for him again, but there's a slightly bigger gap between 1st and 6th than there was in the quarter-final, Mike. That's closer to 30 metres than it is 20. So Harvey is giving himself a lot of work to do, and Iversen is not going to let up. Iversen, for me, is not the out-and-out sprinter, but he's capable of holding a very good pace for the full 1,600 metres.
He is, and certainly in Beiderstolen 2-3 weekends ago, he pushed Klæbo to the line in a very fast-paced sprint. Iversen obviously thinking, I can get through, but I need to work and lead it from the front. And that's exactly what he's doing.
Well, look at that time, 1:38 under the bridge. It's far too fast in terms of your recovery for the final. Iversen's going to go through. There'll be 4 qualifiers from this heat without a doubt. But Iversen is not saving a lot for his final effort.
He's putting it all out there, expending it on the track. And, of course, he's got to contend with Finnhagen, Krog and Pellegrino, who will have qualified, or who have qualified from the first semi.
Iversen leads, score in second place at the moment. The Finns with Hakala and Mäki in 3 and 4. Alex Harvey is starting to move. He's come up into 5th. Will he make the similar move that we saw in the last round? Keep an eye on him. The white headband on the left of your picture. He's running out of time.
Alex will be doing the maths, though, Patrick. You'll think, all I need is a top 4 and I will get through to the final. And that's what Alex Harvey will be thinking right now, slotting into 4th place.
That's exactly where he is at the moment. A very, very intelligent racer indeed. Score goes into the lead. Iversen pushed down into 2nd. Hakala of Finland in 3rd. He's safe at the moment. The battle is for 4 and 5.
This is a brutal pace. I mean, Iversen early on really put everything into this race. He's still there in 2nd place.
They're going to be 10 seconds or so quicker than the last semi-final. So I can't see anyone winning the final from this heat. Will Alex Harvey get through by the skin of his teeth? It's going to be close. It's between him and Hakala, and I think Harvey makes it by a fraction of a second.
I don't know if you saw it. Alex nearly fell backwards as he entered that home straight, and his weight was way back. He luckily recovered, and I think he's made it.
Winning time 3:09.3, so it was 9 seconds quicker than the first semi-final. Well, they need some therapy to recover from that effort, Mike. The difference 5 minutes. It's only going to be 10 minutes or so before the men's final takes place. That is, it's a third. It's massively significant.
Iversen has really punished everybody in this one, and actually that's the 2nd fastest time of the day from all the early heats that Score has put out.
Yeah, and Score's time quicker than all but one of the qualifying times earlier on today. So he punished himself. Everson second, Hackler third, Harvey scraping through. That's all he needed to do. He's going to have an outside line at the start, but I don't think it's too significant here in Lillehammer. It's a gentle turn out of the stadium, unlike the one that we saw in Ruka last weekend. Two races to go, and they are both finals. High quality women's field here. Just missing Falla of Norway, who's not been well over the last couple of days, so she never entered. There were one or two absentees, one or two who got knocked out. Heidi Weng never made it through. Johaug didn't make it through. Dahlqvist, who had a good run up in Ruka, she didn't make it through. But we still have some talented skiers in this women's final. Falk wears 1 as the fastest qualifier. Nielsen, the Olympic champion, wearing 3. We'll see her in a minute. This is Sundling wearing 26, the slowest qualifier to get through to the last 6. That shows some determination and good tactics, certainly. There is Nielsen, tall, strong, determined. She's been here many, many times before. And with that Olympic gold medal around her neck, she's the one that everyone will be watching out for. Falk showed good speed in qualifying. The quarterfinal wasn't really convincing. The semi-final wasn't really convincing. Maybe she saved her best till last. Sadie Bjornsson, the sole American. Jessie Diggins not making it through from the quarters even to the semis. And then the youngster, Christine Storver-Skistad, really confident in the semi. I think she's saying, what am I doing in the last 6? Well, you're just about to find out. And Evelina Settlin of Sweden wearing 13. Didn't do Sundby much good, 13. Will Settlin get herself into the top 3? How much are you going to put on a Swedish clean sweep?
It's not impossible. Sundling looking, as you said, bib 26 in qualifying. She's done nothing wrong.
4 Swedes.
4 Swedes into 3 podiums.
1 American and 1 Norwegian. The Norwegian with the ponytail. I'm trying to think of the name of the Russian who had big hair at the start of last season.
Can't remember. Skistad, I wonder what the coaches have said to her. Just go out there and enjoy it. No pressure. What a wonderful place that was last year for Klæbo, having no pressure. He was easy on his skis. It was fun. And let's hope that's what Skistad is doing today, but setting herself up to be the one to catch, and I think they will.
Well, her tactics are fairly clear. Push relatively hard over the first 500. Now she settles down, and that allows Nielsen the opportunity just to keep the pace high. Falk is just behind Skistad at the moment, but keeping a very, very careful eye on Nielsen. She doesn't want to let the Olympic champion get more than 4 or 5 meters clear. 26 Sundling hanging on the left-hand side. Bjornsson sitting at the back, relatively unflustered at the moment, Bjornsson, but not a bad position.
Nielsen restless. She wasn't happy with the easy pace there early on, so she's dictating. She's absolutely setting her stall out, and at the moment nobody's trying to pull her back.
Falk and Bjornsson are the 2 who came through from semi-final number 2. So numbers 1 and number 6. Well, this is a big gap being opened up at the front.
She's caught them sleeping, and Skistad was just, maybe she went off too fast. She was just then having to back her pace off, or is she still being tactical?
I can't see Nielsen losing from here. She's got 20 meters advantage over her teammate Falk. And Skistad, I think, would be very, very happy with a podium. The clean sweep for Sweden is looking pretty good at the moment. Skistad sandwiched in between the 2 Swedes, and she's a tall figure, so she needs a bit of space to get those skis running smoothly. Now Bjornsson makes a move on the inside. Looks as though she's at the back, but she's gained some 4 or 5 meters over the last 50.
Bjornsson's good here in terms of strategy. She's always on the left side as we look down the track. Good to move her all the way forward from there, hopefully for her.
Skistad has faded for Norway, dropped back into 4th, now going down into 5. It's still Nielsen who leads. Falk, who came out of the second semi-final, has nothing left to give. It's all about Nielsen, the Olympic champion at the moment. 26 is Sundling of Sweden. This is an astonishing run from her. 26th fastest in qualifying. She's going to finish on the podium. Well, it's not the tightest finish we've seen in the women's. We had some really good quarterfinals and semi-finals. This has been a demonstration of power, but Sundling now reckons she can challenge the Olympic champion. She's going through on the outside. Well, I think Nielsen caught sleeping. Now she tries to respond, but Sundling takes it. Brilliant first win for her. 2:52.7, and Nielsen caught napping in the home straight. Björnsson takes 3 for the United States. She always seems to start the season well, Björnsson. Settling, ending up down in 4th place. Well, it wasn't the Swedish clean sweep we thought might happen, but my goodness, Mike, what a surprise. What good news. They've got a new World Cup winner.
They have. And was Nielsen caught sleeping there? I'm not sure she was. She ran out of steam, but I don't think she expected her teammate Sundling to be so close. So she was a little relaxed going into that final 100 and taken by surprise.
Well, that was astonishing from Sundling. Had the advantage of being in the first semi-final. She came through as a lucky loser. Couldn't match Skistad or Nielsen on that occasion, and just came through with a time of 2:55.75. But she saved her best for last. Nielsen's mistake, did she make one? Maybe. I would like Sundling got close enough before the final downhill to get some extra speed coming into the home straight.
I think Sundling was very clever. The way she exited was, we're not going to see it, but the way that she carried her pace, I think that Nielsen thought she was clear, thought she was safe, and then all of a sudden, to her right, the little blue and white lightning streak came by. Well, I was just about to say it's been nearly a year since Nielsen had her last victory, but of course she hasn't got one today. It was on December the 7th last year in Davos, in the freestyle.
Well, she's taken defeat very graciously, I must say, but maybe that's because it's one of her teammates who's come through to take the win. Skistad started hard, faded badly in the closing stages, but she's done remarkably well. Some new names coming through. It's always nice at this stage of the season to see who comes through, but often, Mike, it's because those who are battling to get into their national teams have to be in their best form in November and early December.
I think so, but this Swedish sprint team is a revelation. We saw it last week. They've definitely worked so much, and I'm not sure it's just about pre-season form. They've got a lovely team spirit and momentum. To be beating the Norwegians on Norwegian snow is quite special, and no Norwegians on the podium. That's unusual.
So there's your podium for the day. 2 Swedes, 1 American. Björnsson on the near side. Big smile on her face. She hit the podium this time last year, so she'll be delighted with her progress. Most of the Americans focusing on the World Championships in Seefeld at the end of February. So that's when we'll expect to see Jessie Diggins producing her best. But it's always good for a team to get a podium finish. That will give them a lift. And
yeah, it's so good to see Sadie Björnsson. She kept very calm. She didn't panic when Nielsen went away like a rocket. She kept her own strategies going, and it worked for that podium 3rd place.
And I tell you whose strategy backfired. Hannah Falk. She may be happy she got through to the final, but choosing to go in Heat 5 really gave her no chance of competing in that final.
Jana, it's your
Here's your winner.
World Cup win. How do you feel?
Really happy. Yeah.
How was the course out there today?
It was really tough today, and it was better today than yesterday, so that was good.
And the concurrents, you left them all behind. How's your feeling?
I didn't thought that in the beginning. I felt stronger and stronger, so it was nice to go to the final and to win. I didn't believe that.
Okay, congratulations. You've done really, really well.
She's done really, really well. It was a question of belief, wasn't it, Mike? I think she would have been staggered when she suddenly realised she was gaining on Nielsen down the home straight. It was brilliant tactics.
It was, and she kept that little hope alive all the time that maybe, just maybe, I can take this one from a long way back.
Just the men's final to go. The final showdown of the day here in Lillehammer. Remember, it is the start of a 3-day tour, and only 50 points on offer for the winner today. And then at the end of the tour, the winner of the tour gets a bonus 200 points. So in the end, you end up with the same number of points, but much more emphasis on the weekend's performance rather than the individual races. Pellegrino has made it through, and his main rival, Clabo, is out. Dramatic style. He was unlucky, Mike. Nothing, you know, he didn't make any mistakes other than the fact that he didn't put himself far enough clear to be out of potential trouble.
Yes, it's been a while since we've seen a pole snapped when he's planting it, so just the edge of Halverson's ski snapping the bottom part, the carbon fibre, they do break easily. But again, is there, I know Halverson's what, nearly 1.95 m, so he's a big athlete, he takes up a lot of track space, but even so, it's just, I was going to say, getting himself in the wrong place at the wrong time. As you say, he wasn't far enough ahead at that moment. And Clabo, that will dent his ego again a little bit, like last weekend when he backed off with the medal almost round his neck and allowed Bolshinov to come through. So just two little negatives at the beginning of this new season.
Well, a real chance for Iversen to take top spot in the World Cup standings after today. In fact, he's not quite going to make it because he was 70 points behind Bolshinov at the start of the day. But if he wins, then he'll close in on Bolshinov, who got knocked out in the semi-final. No, the first round.
First round, yeah.
First round. So minimum points for Bolshinov today. There is Finnhagen Krog wearing 4. Pellegrino for Italy was the 3rd fastest qualifier. We've also got Iversen, who was 2nd fastest.
Yes, and Pellegrino and Finnhagen Krog, they had that first semi-final, so they have recovered by, what, a further 8 minutes to some of those in the second semi.
And 4 qualifiers coming out of the second semi-final. So are you going to put your money on Krog and Pellegrino? I think I will.
I feel good about Alex Harvey today, but he needs to have a different strategy this time. He needs to keep it a little sharper early on, and maybe Finnhagen Krog or, of course, Pellegrino will think, well, let's take this from the gun. Let's try and run with this from the start. A little bit like Iversen did.
So numbers 4 and 3 are the 2 men who came through from the first semi-final. Theoretically, they are the most rested. Number 6 is Sindre Bjornstad Skor. Iversen. Iversen finished 4th in the Sprint World Championships last year. And the sole Finn in the last 6, Ristamati Hakala, he's done pretty well. He came out of heat semi-final number 2, finished in 3rd position, just ahead of this man, Harvey, which is why Harvey is drawn effectively in the outside lane. Will it make a difference? Only if they go hard from the gun. But it's the men's final, and 9 times out of 10, it turns into a very tactical affair.
Iversen looks hungry to maybe adopt the same strategy as his earlier semi.
They're underway. They have 3 minutes, 7, 8, 9 seconds to ski before we know who wins the second sprint of the season. The Norwegians are there in numbers, 3 Norwegians. We've got Alex Harvey, who has pretty much gone to the back, but a little injection of speed there pushes himself up into 3rd.
Well, mentioned earlier, when Clabo was racing, he'd won 7 from the previous 11 World Cup wins. He's always been on the podium, so it gives an opportunity for new athletes today. I was thinking it could well be Pellegrino because he's got 11. He wants 12 to match some of the big names, 12 victories in sprint racing.
He got 2 last year. Pellegrino with 2 wins last year. And I think this might be his best opportunity of the season. No Bolshinov, no Clabo, and Pellegrino certainly has the best turn of pace. How is Pellegrino going to win it? Going over the top of the hill in first position, or does he want to be in second, third?
I honestly think he needs 8 meters over that rise, because his finishing pace right now hasn't been so good all day long. He's been a little weak in that last 50, and he'll know that. So he'll think, if I'm going to take this one, I need 8 meters over that top rise. Unlikely to happen.
1:20 on the clock. The pulse rate's getting up towards maximum for most of these men, hovering around 185, 195, somewhere around there. One or two of them will have pulses up around 200. But this is where the real work starts, under the bridge, the halfway stage. And now they have to think about the final climb, which will come in around 20 seconds time.
Alex Harvey, a different strategy. He's been in first or second place most of this one. He's ready to unleash, shoot anyone, and he expects Pellegrino, I'm quite sure, to break free.
Yeah, Iversen looks quite tense in the shoulders. I thought Alex Harvey looking beautifully smooth. Pellegrino's taking no chances, moves up into second place, just ahead of Harvey. Harvey has a look around, shakes out the hands, tries to flush the lactate out of the system for the final burst. 1 minute of action still to go here in Lillehammer.
The pace hasn't been so fast, Patrick, so all of these athletes are ready for one incredible turn of pace coming up very, very soon.
Well, Iversen's got himself an advantage of 4-5 meters, and he carries good speed into the final hill. But here comes Pellegrino, skate 1 to perfection. Harvey pushed down into 4 now. Krog on the far side wants his chance, wants his crack at the whip here to have a chance of getting into top spot. Now you see a change in tempo from Pellegrino. He wants that 8-9 meters going over the top of the hill.
He needs more, he needs more.
He needs a little bit more. Iversen keeps the pressure on, work over the top of the hill. The final downhill now, a gap of what, 8-9 meters. It's not bad for Pellegrino. It's not bad at all. Iversen's going to have to produce something very special in the closing stages.
Great strategy there from Pellegrino. Maybe he's done enough, but he knows that they'll be coming onto this home straight strong and determined to pull him down.
And the Norwegian's coming into the home straight faster than anyone else. The gap is closing, but Pellegrino with 70 to go still has a 7-meter advantage over Iversen. Alex Harvey in third position at the moment. Krog is starting to fade. It's Pellegrino who takes it. Iversen 2, Harvey 3, and Skor and Krog fight it out for 4 and 5. And Hakola of Finland never really got a look in that one. Iversen, bold tactics, but Pellegrino is the true sprinter from those 6. You saw that change in tempo halfway up the climb. No one else in that field was capable of doing it.
I think there's only 2 men in the world that can turn that limb speed up, and that's Klæbo and Pellegrino. And Pellegrino knew that. He knew that that's where he could win the race. It was a brave way to take it. And I thought Finn Hagen Krog was going to challenge him, but it wasn't to be.
It's Freddie's day.
12 World Cup victories in sprint racing. Well done.
That's an extra 3 bottles of red wine on the table tonight for the Italian team.
Oh, great. We're going to get his interview.
Yeah, Pellegrino will be full of himself now. Only got 2 wins last year. He was 19th here in Lillehammer, but it was a classic sprint, which isn't really his best. But he was sharp. What a shame that Klæbo wasn't in that lineup, because that would have been a really interesting battle.
And I think, well, we can never say, but Pellegrino, it was there. He had to be clever in that race. Yes, he had a little bit more recovery, having taken the first of the semi-finals.
And he needed to claim the glory today, because he won't feature at the end of the 3-day tour here in Lillehammer. It's Italy's moment. Pellegrino takes gold, Iversen in second, and Alex Harvey of Canada third. Well, that was a much more exciting final than we saw in the women's event, Mike.
It was, and I think Iversen, we haven't really sung his praises. Remember, he's done all the hard work. He's been leading a lot of these the heats, and of course his early great time and second fastest on the track time, and he still had the desire to try and take this victory.
And remember, Pellegrino out of semi-final number 1. Maybe that is why Iversen just couldn't catch the Italian. Iversen still happy with second place, but no team celebrates quite like the Italians.
Quite right. So when you think of the mileage, the pain and the sweat and the tears that they go through every year for so many years, the victories must be very, very sweet.
1 year older, but just as quick as he was last season. His first win of the year. How many will he get this season? Will he be the man that claims the sprint title come the end of the year? Didn't start too well. He only finished 9th in Ruka. Didn't even get through to the last 6 there. But I think the course design in Ruka with that brutal climb into the finish just wasn't quite his style.
Not really, and of course he's more of a freestyle than a classic specialist. When it comes to freestyle skating, he's the best. He has got such incredible tempo and awareness. I like the way he reads the race, and I just now want to hear what he's got to say.
I don't think he was ever out of the top 3, apart from the initial couple of 100 meters. He was keeping a very, very close eye on Iversen.
Go.
50 World Cup points to his name. That will help him climb the table. 15th overall at the start of the day. Iversen misses out on the full quota, but does close the gap significantly on Bolshinov of Russia, who is the World Cup leader and remains the World Cup leader, despite the fact that he got knocked out in the first round.
And 5,000 Swiss francs for his victory today, 3,000 for second and 2,000 for Alex Harvey in third.
I wonder whether that moustache is coming off tomorrow. I suspect it will. I can't decide whether it makes him look older or younger.
Well, it certainly helped him be fast. It's great to see Alex on the podium again in his last season.
Iversen's got a few fans. There will be many thousands of spectators here over the weekend. Having an early race, you know, I'm slightly surprised they didn't have a night race, but because it's part of the tour, they need that rest period. Otherwise, the sprint may well have been at 7, 8 in the evening, and then we would have had, you know, thousands coming up from Lillehammer itself.
We're here with the winner of today's sprint. Federico, you are the king of freestyle sprints. How is that on such a tough course like here in Lillehammer?
Yeah, let me see in Sheffield if I continue to stay to be the king. I felt really good today, and I want to really congratulate to my new teammates, to my new boxers, the new coach, the new agonistic director. We changed something after the Olympics. I had a really good Olympic period in the last 4 years, and I didn't was so sure that my shape could continue so good. But today I've seen that my legs and my mind, first of all, were working so good. So let me see. The season is long, but right now I am here.
It's a good start for you. Congratulations. Very well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, without the mind, doesn't matter how good the legs are. And he certainly had the confidence there to do exactly what he wanted to do in that last race.
And you know, all these changes can sometimes unsettle a star like Pellegrino, but he's bought into it all.
Well, that completes all the cross-country action. There's some Nordic combined coming up a little later on. They've got a 5-kilometre Gundersen, and that'll be an interesting race as well. The conditions here in Lillehammer are just about perfect. What a win for Pellegrino. His first of the season. Well, the women's race was not quite as thrilling as the men's, but we did get a new winner. And Sundling of Sweden, who only qualified in 26th place, came through to get her first ever win in a World Cup. Brilliant news for the Swedish team, and actually better for the Swedes that she won rather than Nielsen.
Yes, Nielsen will be, I think, a little disappointed when she looks at the final 100 metres or so, but and what about Klæbo? A bad day, another bad day for the Norwegian.
His turn will come. It may be good for him. 10K for the women tomorrow, 15 for the men. Hope you can join us for that. Goodbye.